Hi, I'm Rebecca from Kiss. Welcome to our first podcast in a series discussing Kiss's 2024 headline sponsorship of the Alternative Legal Show. Joining me on our podcast today, we have Steve Parrott, Managing Director of Alternative Events, and in-house from Kiss, Nick Hain, Head of Legal Services, and Dave Ricketts, Head of Business Development. It's now time for our Q&A. Dave, over to you.
Thank you, Becky. Good afternoon, gentlemen. I'm going to use this because we bought one, so I'm just going to do that because everybody important does that. Anyway, thanks, Steve, for coming on the podcast. Much appreciated. As you know, we're headline sponsor of the Alternative Legal this year, and we wanted to try and maximise our investment with you guys. And one of the ideas was to get a podcast done where we ask you a series of questions, and then later on in the week, or maybe next week, you ask us a series of questions about our business. So if you're happy with that, yeah, and thank you, Nick, for joining us as well, by the way. So the first question of 6. The UK legal sector has some unique characteristics. Can you talk about how you tailor your events to address the specific needs and challenges of law firms in the UK?
Dave, thanks for inviting me, and a huge thank you to Quiss for headline sponsoring this year's event. So we're in year 16 of this event, and I think it's your 10th year you've sponsored, and you've gone big this year in headlines, so thank you. My take on the legal tech market space and how we and why we fit in where we do was the fact that we're here 16 years later says it. We are only interested and only focused exclusively on the mid-market size of law firm. So that we define that loosely between about 2 million turnover up to 50 million. That is our sweet spot. And that's the only target sector or target element of the legal sector that we invite. So we're very unique. We would not invite a top 50 firm on our mailing list. They can register. We're going to say yes, but we don't actively go after them. So by doing so, you create a community of like-minded business professionals with the same business problems. They've got the same number of staff, same regional offices, same turnover, same spend on tech. So every conversation that we create, everyone can come at it from the same position. That's our position in market. And that's how we've survived as long as we have, because we only focus exclusively within that segment.
How many firms in that segment, Steve?
I don't know. I'm going to say about 700-800 that we actively engage with. There probably are more, but that's our uniqueness in market. And I think just to add to that point, I think the spend on technology is really key, because not everyone in the Magic Circle firms have a huge tech budget. But what I did want to say is that 365 is the great leveler. It doesn't matter how much money you got. Everyone uses 365. So everyone can leverage the capabilities. So we are seeing a slight leveling in the playing field of discussion. So a DLA, Clifford Chance IT director can actually have the same 365 conversation as an IT director in a 4 million turnover firm. Would you agree, Nick? Are you seeing that?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And I think Copilot, as an example, we are desperate for great examples of Copilot, and they're coming from the top 50. Well, they can sprinkle down and be trickled into the conversation for mid-market, because mid-market aren't quite as aggressive in that environment. They're trying to catch up, but why not let the bigger firms tell you how to use it, and then just let them do the R&D, and then you pick up the opportunity.
That's interesting, because we've got several clients evaluating Copilot, and they are buying licenses like it's going out of fashion at the moment. So we may have interesting case studies around that topic. And obviously that's a nice segue onto. In terms of the UK law, what are some of the hottest trends and most pressing issues facing the law firms today that your events program will address this year?
Yeah, we've actually listed about 10 that I can just rattle off to you today, what we're going to focus on in September. So in no particular order, we've identified business continuity, disaster recovery, crisis management, cyber resilience, the AI evolution, use cases, leveraging Copilot. Remote working is still a challenge. How to lead and manage in this environment. Lead and manage is really important. Talent management, recruitment, retention, developing of digital skills, still very high on the agenda. What does the IT team of the future look like? How do we still overcome the partner barrier and reluctance to invest in technology? Still a challenge. getting projects over the line, project management. What else we're going to cover? Is private hosting dead? Cloud strategy? And what is the future of managed service providers and hosting? There you go. Some good nuggets there. That's what we're going to cover.
Some good topics as well. Hey, Nick?
No, absolutely. I'll be particularly interested in the private versus public argument, which has been going on for years. And I've literally just come off a call with a consultant who's added their insight into this. And I think your comment about is the private data center or private cloud dead? It's a very sound argument for this moment.
Excellent. Okay. Staying on this subject, is it crucial for law firms to build expertise? How does your event help attendees develop their expertise?
So we have a very specific and bespoke model. Every event that we run, this is the 16th as mentioned, has been created by an advisory board. So we choose about 15, 16 advisory board members who are CIOs, heads of ITs from this segment. We spend a couple of hours with them every year, about 6 months out from the event, and they tell us their pain points. They say what's bugging them, what's keeping them awake at night, what they can't deliver on, what their challenges are. And if you go around the group and find 16 people saying the same things, you end up with about 10 topics that are just consistent across market. And we can then go out with this amazing slogan to market, written by the market for the market. So we know everything we create has been developed educationally for an IT director of a mid-market firm. And that's how we can stay ahead and stay relevant.
And those subjects, the subjects you mentioned, I think there was there 11 or 12 as the subjects, but obviously AI is top of mind at the moment. But as you know, technology is evolving rapidly. How do your events incorporate? What sessions do you incorporate in your events to address this?
Well, our model, again, being alternative, is quite unique. We hire exclusively a hotel that is ours, and all of the hotel facilities are ours. So we can actually create lots of different ways of sharing knowledge. Most events will have conference sessions as standard. We've obviously got the big keynote sessions, but we have lots of workshop discussion groups, which our audience describe as group therapy, because they can really share the problems that they have, and in a private environment. But also, it's good to hear what other people are struggling with, because they're pretty much always going to be the same challenge that you have. So to answer your question, it is the uniqueness of the way we deliver our content, whether it's a breakout session, whether it's a round table group, whether it's a Samoan circle. If you've not been to one of our events, a Samoan circle debate at the end, which is where big topics discuss, and it gets very heated about people saying, no, I've got a difference of opinion, and you're encouraged to say no and have a difference of opinion. So we have debate formats as well as the group sessions and the conference sessions. So lots of formats for delivering content and sharing.
Excellent. This whole kind of podcast and all the questions really is about trying to drive further traffic to the event, to get people to engage with you and also to engage with Quiss. But from what I understand, there's two events, isn't there? There's the managing partners, and then there's the legal technology event. So what's the difference in the audience there?
So we're I think it's year 8 now for the Legal Management Summit. So what we decided 8 years ago was that we had the IT director voice, we had the challenges from IT, but actually, ultimately, we all know that the ship is steered by the managing partner in many cases. We had to have their input. It wasn't always that they wanted to talk about technology, they actually wanted to talk about their challenges as leaders. But invariably, you end up talking technology at some point in discussion. So what we decided to do was bolt on a day before a management event, which is actually one of our largest events in market now that we provide, and also incorporates finance directors. So we get the leadership piece. We look at the day-to-day challenges of running, leading, which ultimately leads down to people, finance, growth, all those strategies. And one of the strategies for growing a firm is process automation. And that inevitably then leads and signposts into the next day, which is legal IT. So it's a great symmetry of 3 days.
Fantastic. Final question. It's always a bit nerve-wracking. It's our first podcast of hopefully many. Which, as I said, we're trying to do this podcast to drive some awareness for both organisations. But what else does Alternative do in order to drive awareness of your events in the marketplace?
Well, working with fabulous sponsors like your good selves and creating these environments for sharing, that's critical. The advisor board supports us immensely with engagement within the market. They constantly are feeding us into their contacts, telling us who the great speakers are. We have some great LinkedIn channels where we push out content, thought leadership. But I would say our main kind of way that we go about creating the environment, creating the noise, creating the conversation is through the LinkedIn channels, the emails, communications that we put out, and the advisory board themselves contributing to the discussion online and signposting people back in to what we do. And obviously our events themselves create a conversation that goes on for many months afterwards. You do find that people are constantly in communication. Obviously we have an amazing app called the Hoover app, which is not necessarily any different to any other event app, but it is an app which stays live 6 months after the event, and people can still share and get in touch. So the community stays online 6 months post event, and actually that app I think launches about 2 weeks before each event, so you can start the dialogue and get involved.
Well, it wasn't as nerve-wracking as I felt, really, to be fair. You've answered like 6 questions. You've answered them well, nice and clear. Looking forward to your questions to us in a week or so's time. But I'd like to thank you on behalf of Quiss and us as a business for the opportunity for sponsoring. And hopefully we can drive further value with these kind of events as well.
Thank you for inviting me, and please bring that pool table that you have in your
Pool
office
table.
to the event.
We have 2 pool tables.
We have 2. We need them.
Yeah.
We need them as part of
He's turning professional very soon, Steve.
Excellent.
He's got to be good at something. He's got to be good at something.
I'll do the queue.
There we go. But thank
But
you,
thank you, Steve.
and I will look forward to posing my questions next time, which I might make a bit tougher than the questions you've asked.
Hey, wait there. Hey. Okay, no problem. But thank you, mate. All right. And thank you, Becky, for setting this all up.
No problem.
Yeah,
Brilliant. Thanks, guys, and thanks everyone for joining us for our first podcast.
Lovely.
Bye.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.